10.5 Surface areas of prisms and cylinders. In this lesson, we will be looking at finding the surface areas of prisms and cylinders. Let's take a look at a few vocabulary words. The surface area just means the sum of the areas of the faces of the solid. And net just means a two-dimensional representation of a solid. So here we have a prism, a rectangular prism. And if we take this rectangular prism, the net of this rectangular prism apart, we would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rectangles. And to calculate the surface area, we would have to find the area of all these individual rectangles. I may be coloring the inside, but just keep in mind that surface area means the area outside of the shape. Now I am going to focus on how and where does the surface area formula comes from. Let me explain what lateral faces of a prism means. They are simply the faces that are not the bases. So if we look at the picture here, first of all, surface area equals 2 times the base area plus the lateral area. So the lateral area would be this part of the shape. And the bases would be this part of the 3D shape. The lateral area of a prism would just be simply the sum of the areas of the lateral faces. So we just have to add everything up. So to make this easier, you just take the perimeter, P, of the base and multiply by the height. So here we have perimeter of base times h for height. And now the formula for the surface area of a prism. So S for surface area equals 2 times the base area, since we have 2 of these, plus the perimeter of the base, which is this length plus the width and the length again and the width again times the height. So for short, we can just write P. So I have this problem worked out for you. The base area would just be 6 times 4, 24. And we need to multiply by 2 since we have 2 identical bases. Again, and we need to add it on to the perimeter. Since we have 2 6s, and 2 4s, we can double it for each to get a perimeter of 20. 20 times 10 is 200, and 200 times plus 48 is 248 square units. And if you noticed, that here they don't give you the units. So you would have to write square units. Okay, let's do a practice problem. Okay, here we need to find the surface area of a prism. And we have a triangular prism because the bases have a triangular shape. We would do the same thing to find the surface area. Use the same formula. Double the base and add it to the perimeter times its height. So S equals 2 times half times 6 times 8. Because the height of the triangle is 6, the base is 8, and we need to multiply by half according to the area of a triangle is half times base times height. Then we need to add it to the perimeter of the base, which is just 6 plus 8 plus, and so if this is 10, this is also 10. 10. And the height would just be 18. And once you do the math, you should get 48 plus 24 times 18. And keep simplifying. You should get 48 plus 432, and then 482 centimeter squared. Now labeling will be very important. Don't forget. Okay, let's do two more practice problems. Okay, here we have a rectangular prism. So the surface area will be equal to 2 times 5.5 times 4, because we have 2 of these. And then we need to add it to the perimeter of the base, which is 2 times 5.5 plus 2 times 4. Okay, so this is 5.5, this is 4, so that's why we need to double it. And then we have a height of 24 feet. And after you simplify, let's see, you get 44 plus 11 plus 8 times 24, and then 44 plus 456, and you should get 500 feet squared. Okay, let's do one more triangle prism. So the surface area should be calculated as twice the base, so 2 times half times the base is 6, the height is 4. Okay, and then you need to add that to the perimeter of the base, which is, let's see, if this is 6, if this is 6, this should be 5, this is 3, this is 4, this should also be 5. So we should get double the 5, and we should add it to the base of 6 to get the entire perimeter of the base, and then multiply by its height. And we should get 24 plus 16 times 12. And if you keep simplifying, you should get 216 meters squared. Okay, for the surface areas of cylinders, the same idea applies when you calculate for the surface area. So the lateral surface of a cylinder is just a curved surface of a cylinder. It will be this part. So if we open this curve up, it will be shaped like a rectangle. And to calculate the lateral area of a cylinder, you need to take the circumference 2 pi r and multiply by its height and add it to 2 of the base areas. So let's take a look at the formula here. Surface area equals twice the base area plus circumference times height. So surface area equals 2 pi r squared, because we have 2 of these circles, plus the circumference 2 pi r times the height. Or you can simplify as surface area equals pi times 2r squared plus rh. Up to you. But I usually use this one because it's easier for me to remember it that way. Using the surface areas of a cylinder formula, find the surface area of the cylinder. Leave your answer in terms of pi. If you're asked to round your answers, we'll usually ask you to multiply by 3.14. But to make things easier for now, I will just have you leave your answers in terms of pi. So here we have S equals double the base area, which is pi times 8 squared and then add the circumference to pi times 8 times the height of 11. Okay, the radius is 8. That's where it comes from. And after you do the math, you should get 128 pi plus 176 pi equal 304 pi. And you still need to write inches squared. Okay, one more. Here we have a cylinder with a radius of 2 and a height of 4.4. So surface area equals twice the base area, which is pi r squared, 2 squared, plus twice pi times 2 times 4.4. And let's simplify this. 8 pi plus 17.6 pi. And the final answer will be 25.6 pi yard squared. So here we have the net of a pizza box, which is just a rectangular prism. So we know that the base is a square, so 16 by 16. Okay, so we got 2 of these. So 2 times 16 squared plus the perimeter of the base, which is 16 plus 16 plus 16 plus 16, so times 4. And we need to multiply by the height of 2 to get 512 as our next step, plus 128, and this would equal to 640 inches squared. And a racquetball. Find the surface area of the container of racquetballs. Round your answer to the nearest square inch. Okay, so I'm going to have you use pi equals 3.14. In this case, the surface area is just 2 pi 2.5 squared. Radius is 2.5. Or excuse me, the radius is is actually half of 2.5, which is 1.25 squared. Okay, so plus the circumference 2 pi 1.25 times the radius, the height of 5. And after you do the math, you should get 3.125 pi plus 12.5 pi, and then 15.625 times 3.14, and you should get about 49 inches squared. And that concludes our lesson.